Today, we're stepping into something most people avoid, the quiet, unfamiliar world of being alone and what it can truly reveal about you. Not loneliness, not isolation, but a deeper journey most never dare to take. Have you ever noticed how life feels louder when everything around you becomes silent? You sit in a quiet room, yet your mind refuses to rest. Thoughts appear, emotions rise, and suddenly, being alone doesn't feel peaceful. It feels uncomfortable. Why? Everything you run from waits for you in silence. We are taught to fear being alone, to fill every empty moment. But what if that fear is hiding your greatest strength? Look at your own life. Are you truly afraid of being alone, or afraid of what you might discover within? Until you are at peace with yourself, you will seek endlessly. Before we begin, your doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see solitude differently, and there's one powerful insight most people miss, waiting for you. Stop escaping your own mind. Why does silence feel heavy, as if something is wrong the moment you are finally alone? Notice it carefully. The moment the noise fades, something inside you begins to speak, and you grow restless. Not because loneliness is painful, but because you are hearing what you have been avoiding for too long. Peace begins where avoidance ends. Yet most people spend their lives escaping through conversations, distractions, endless scrolling, anything to not sit with their own mind. But tell me, what are you trying not to hear when you are alone? Imagine a small room, long closed. Dust gathers in the darkness, untouched, unseen. The moment you open the door, the air feels thick, uncomfortable. You might think the room has become worse, but it has always been this way. Silence did not create the discomfort, it revealed it. In the same way, your mind is not becoming chaotic when you sit alone. It is simply showing you what has always been there. So why do you fear silence more than noise? A monk once said, "The one who cannot sit with himself will always beg the world for company." And slowly, this becomes suffering, because the world is not always available. People leave, situations change, and when they do, you are left face to face with a mind you never learned to understand. This is why being alone feels heavy, not because you have no one, but because you have not yet met yourself. And what would happen if, just once, you stopped running? Sit still, close your eyes, imagine your thoughts as echoes inside a vast cave. Do not chase them, do not fight them, just listen as they rise and gently fade away. At first, it will feel intense, the noise may grow louder, but stay, because something subtle begins to shift. When you stop reacting, the mind loses its urgency, the storm begins to pass. And in that quiet space, you discover something unexpected. Not emptiness, but clarity. Here is the truth most people never realize. Solitude is not the absence of connection. It is the beginning of a deeper one. When you stop escaping your own presence, being alone no longer feels like a prison. It becomes a return. A return to awareness, a return to stillness, a return to yourself. So, tonight, do something different. Do not reach for distraction. Do not run from the silence. Sit with it. Listen to it. Learn from it. Because the mind you are avoiding is also the place where your peace is waiting. And remember this, you fear being alone, not because you have no one, but because you have not yet learned how to stay. 2. Loneliness is self-disconnection. Why do people surround themselves with others, yet still feel empty inside? Look closely. The laughter is there, the conversations are flowing, yet something remains untouched. Because connection with others cannot replace connection with yourself. When you are disconnected, Peter, no amount of company can fill that quiet absence. What you cannot find within, you will endlessly search for outside. And slowly, without realizing, You begin drinking from a well that can never satisfy you. Tell me honestly, are you seeking people or are you escaping yourself? It is like drinking salt water. At first, it feels like relief. A message, a call, a presence beside you. But the more you depend on it, the deeper your thirst becomes. Because the need is not for others, it is for your own presence. Yet most people never learn this. They chase attention, validation, companionship, hoping one day it will feel like enough. But when was the last time you felt complete without anyone else? A quiet truth echoes through the teachings of wise ones. The one who abandons himself will forever feel abandoned by the world. And this is where loneliness is born, not from being alone, but from being absent within your own life. You may sit in a crowded room, yet feel invisible to yourself. You may speak to many, yet never truly listen to your own heart. So ask yourself gently, do you truly enjoy your own company? Close your eyes for a moment, place your hand on your chest. Feel your breath, not forced, not controlled, just natural. Notice the rise and the fall. Stay here, no distractions, no reaching outward, just you. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, but if you remain, something soft begins to unfold, a quiet companionship with your own being. And in that moment, you realize you were never truly alone. You were only disconnected. This is the turning point most never reach. They keep searching outside, never realizing the door has always been within. When you return to yourself, even silence begins to feel warm. Even solitude begins to feel full. Because now, you are no longer waiting for someone to complete you. You are meeting yourself completely. So the next time loneliness visits you, do not rush to escape it. Sit with it. Listen to what it reveals. Because it is not asking you to find someone else. It is asking you to come back home, and remember this. The moment you become enough for yourself, the world no longer feels like something you need to survive. It becomes something you can simply experience. 3. Break the addiction to distraction. Why do you reach for your phone the moment you feel alone? Notice how automatic it is. A single second of silence, and your hand moves almost without permission. Not because there is something urgent to see, but because distraction has quietly become your shield, a way to not feel, a way to not face what rises within. The mind addicted to noise fears the truth in silence. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I avoiding through constant distraction? There is a reason stillness feels uncomfortable. When the noise fades, the mind begins to reveal its layers. Restlessness, doubt, old emotions you thought had disappeared. And instead of understanding them, you escape again and again. But this escape comes at a cost. Like a lake disturbed by endless ripples, your inner world never becomes clear. You live reacting, not seeing. Moving, but not understanding. Tell me, can you sit still, even for a few moments, without reaching for something? A monk once observed, when you run from silence, you run from your own clarity. And slowly, this habit shapes your life. You lose the ability to be present. Even joy feels incomplete because your attention is always elsewhere. You eat, but your mind is busy. You rest, but you are not at ease. You live, but you are not fully here. This is the hidden suffering of distraction. It steals your life quietly, without resistance. So, what truth might silence reveal to you, if you allowed it? Sit down, just for a moment. No phone, no movement. Let your hands rest. Watch the urge rise, the itch to check, to scroll, to escape. Do not act on it, just observe. Notice how strong it feels. And then, slowly, how it begins to pass, like a wave that rises and falls on its own. In that small act, something powerful begins. You are no longer controlled by your impulses. you are witnessing them. This is where stillness is reclaimed, not by force, but by awareness. The more you sit with yourself, the less you need to escape. The mind begins to settle, the noise softens, and beneath it, a quiet clarity emerges. Steady, grounded, real. You begin to see your thoughts, not become them. You begin to feel your emotions, not be ruled by them. So the next time your hand reaches out for distraction, pause, stay, breathe, because what you are seeking in endless noise is already waiting for you in stillness. And remember this, when you break the addiction to distraction, you do not lose anything. You finally begin to see everything. 4. Stop chasing to feel whole. Why does chasing people make you feel smaller instead of fulfilled? Notice the quiet shift within you when you begin to seek too much. Your words become heavier, your presence less natural. You start adjusting, waiting, hoping to be chosen. And in that process, something subtle is lost. You. Because neediness does not create connection, it creates pressure. The more you beg for connection, the more you forget your completeness. So pause and ask yourself honestly, am I seeking connection or am I seeking validation? There is a silent exhaustion in always reaching outward, waiting for replies, measuring your worth in someone else's attention, believing that without them, something in you is missing. But look closely. This feeling does not come from reality. It comes from belief, a belief that you are incomplete on your own. And this belief shapes your actions. You chase, you cling, you overextend. Yet the more you try to hold on, the more everything slips away, like water in a closed fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it disappears. What do you believe you lack without others? A quiet teaching says, what is whole does not chase, it simply is. But most people never experience this. They confuse attachment with love, urgency with care, dependency with connection. And slowly, relationships begin to feel heavy, not because others are distant, but because the need within you is too strong. This is where suffering deepens, not in being alone, but in believing you cannot stand alone. So what would change if you stopped chasing, even for a moment? Close your eyes. Imagine your hands slowly unclenching. No force, no resistance, just opening. Feel the lightness that comes with it. This is what letting go feels like. Not loss, but space. Space to breathe. Space to exist without pressure. In that space, something surprising begins to grow. A quiet sense of enoughness. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, real. This is the turning point. When you stop chasing, you begin to return. Your energy settles. Your presence becomes calm, grounded, whole, and from that place, connection changes. It is no longer something you need to survive. It becomes something you can choose, freely, without fear. Because now, you are not asking others to complete you. You are meeting them as someone already complete. So the next time you feel the urge to chase, pause, breathe. Open your hands instead of tightening them, because what is meant to stay does not require force. And what leaves was never held by your effort. Remember this, you do not lose people by letting go. You lose the illusion that you needed them to feel whole. 5. Become the observer, not the reactor. Why do your emotions seem louder, more overwhelming, when you are alone? Notice this carefully. It is not that your feelings grow stronger, it is that there is nothing left to distract you from them. And in that quiet space, you begin to believe every thought that passes through your mind. Every fear feels real, every doubt feels true. But pause. What if the problem is not your emotions, but your attachment to them? You are not the storm, you are the sky watching it. So ask yourself, which thoughts do I unnecessarily hold on to? There is a subtle habit most people never question. A thought appears, and instantly you become it. I am not enough. I am alone. Something is missing. And without awareness, you react. Your mood shifts. Your energy drops. Your peace disappears. But look deeper. Was that thought a fact, or just a passing cloud? Thoughts were never meant to define you. They were meant to pass through you. Yet you hold them, repeat them, build your identity around them. And this is where suffering begins. Can you watch your emotions without reacting to them? A quiet voice of wisdom once said, "The moment you observe the mind, you step out of its control." But this step requires patience. Because the mind will resist. It will pull you back into stories, into reactions, into old patterns. It will convince you that every thought matters. But not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion needs your response. So, who are you without your thoughts? Sit still for a moment. Let your breathing be natural. Now watch your mind as if you are watching clouds drift across the sky. One thought comes, then another. Do nothing. Do not label them. Do not judge them. Just observe. Notice how they appear. Stay for a moment, and then fade on their own. Even the strongest emotions, when not fed, begin to soften. In this simple act, a powerful shift begins. You are no longer inside the storm. You are watching it. This is the freedom most people overlook. You do not need to control your thoughts to find peace. You only need to stop identifying with them. When you become the observer, your inner world changes. Reactions slow down. Clarity deepens. Silence no longer feels threatening. It feels spacious. And within that space, you begin to experience something rare, a steady, unshaken calm. So the next time your mind pulls you into a storm, pause, step back, watch. Because not every wave is meant to carry you away. And remember this, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them, untouched and free. 6. Redefine being alone as freedom. What if being alone is not a sign that something is missing, but a sign that something has finally opened? Notice how quickly the mind labels solitude as emptiness. It tells you, you have no one. It whispers, something is wrong. But pause. What if this feeling is not emptiness at all? What if it is space, unfamiliar, wide, and waiting to be understood? What feels like emptiness is often unrecognized freedom. So ask yourself quietly, am I alone, or am I finally free? A bird does not look at the sky and feel abandoned. It does not search for walls to feel secure. It moves freely because nothing is holding it. But the human mind fears this openness. It has grown used to attachments, expectations, roles to play. Without them, it feels exposed. Yet, this exposure is not weakness. It is truth. For the first time, you are not being shaped by others. For the first time, you are not adjusting yourself to fit someone else's presence. So, what freedoms does solitude quietly give you that you have not yet noticed? There is a turning point here, one most people never reach. They spend their lives trying to escape being alone, never realizing they are escaping their own freedom. Because when you are alone, no one is watching. No one is judging. No one is deciding who you should be. And this can feel uncomfortable because it removes every excuse. If no one judged you, how would you live differently? Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself walking alone in an open field. No expectations, no pressure, no one to impress. Just space stretching endlessly around you. Feel the quiet, feel the lightness. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. But if you stay, something begins to shift. The silence softens, the space becomes welcoming, and slowly you begin to feel it. Not loneliness, but freedom. This is where solitude transforms. It is no longer something to endure, it becomes something to explore. You begin to make choices, not out of fear, but out of clarity. Your time becomes your own. Your thoughts become clearer. Your energy becomes grounded. You stop waiting for permission to live and start experiencing life directly. So the next time you find yourself alone, do not rush to fill the space. Do not label it as lack. Stand still within it. Breathe into it. Because this space is not empty. It is open. And within that openness lies something powerful. The freedom to become who you truly are. Remember this. You are not confined by being alone. You are released by it. 7. Speak kindly within yourself. Why does solitude sometimes feel painful, even when nothing is wrong around you? Listen closely. It is not the silence that hurts you. It is the voice that fills it. The way you speak to yourself when no one else is there. The quiet judgments, the harsh comparisons, the subtle blame. You become the voice you listen to the most. And over time, that voice becomes your reality. So ask yourself honestly, how do I talk to myself when I am alone? Most people carry an inner dialogue they would never offer to another human being. You call yourself weak, behind, not enough. You replay mistakes as if they define you. And in solitude, this voice grows louder because there is nothing to cover it. But pause for a moment. Would you speak to a friend this way? Would you sit across from someone you care about and remind them only of their failures? Or would something softer, more understanding, naturally arise? A quiet teaching says, the mind can be a shelter or a prison, depending on how you speak within it. And this is where many suffer without realizing why. They believe they are lonely, but in truth, they are living with a voice that does not support them. So even when they are alone, they are not at peace. They are in conflict with themselves. What if your inner voice became your ally instead of your critic? Close your eyes gently. Take a slow breath. Now, whisper something kind to yourself. Not something exaggerated, not something forced, just something honest and gentle. I am trying. I am learning. I am allowed to grow. Notice what happens in your body when you hear these words. The tension softens, even if only slightly. The breath deepens. A small space of ease begins to appear. This is not weakness. This is healing. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way you experience being alone. If your inner world is harsh, solitude will feel heavy. But if your inner world becomes supportive, solitude begins to feel safe. You stop running from yourself. You begin to rest within your own presence. And slowly, a new relationship forms, not with others, but with yourself. So the next time you find yourself alone, listen carefully to your inner voice. And if it feels sharp, pause, soften it. Speak as you would to someone you deeply care about, because the one who hears you the most is you. And remember this, when your inner voice becomes kind, being alone no longer feels like suffering. It begins to feel like peace. 8. Stop comparing your journey. Why does being alone feel heavier the moment you see others together? Notice how quickly your mind begins to compare. Their laughter becomes a mirror for your silence. Their connection becomes a measure of your worth. And suddenly, what was once peaceful starts to feel like something is missing. But pause. Is the pain coming from being alone or from comparing your life to theirs? Comparison is the thief of inner peace. So ask yourself gently, whose life am I unconsciously measuring mine against? Comparison is subtle. It does not always shout. It whispers. It tells you that you are behind, that others are happier, that your path is lacking. But look closely. Are you truly seeing their life, or just a small, polished moment? And even if their life is full in this moment, does that make yours empty? This is where the mind distorts reality. It turns difference into deficiency. It takes your unique journey and labels it as incomplete. What makes your path uniquely yours that you have been overlooking? Imagine walking on a long path, meant only for you. No one ahead to follow. No one behind to chase you. Just your own steps, your own rhythm. At first, it feels unfamiliar, because you are used to looking sideways, measuring, adjusting, but slowly, something changes. The need to compare begins to fade. You stop asking, "Am I ahead or behind?" and start asking, "Am I present?" And in that shift, a quiet peace begins to grow. A wise insight once echoed softly, "The moment you compare, you leave your own life." And this is the hidden cost. You are no longer experiencing your journey. You are judging it. You are no longer walking your path. You are questioning it. And the more you compare, the further you drift from yourself. So, what would peace feel like if you stopped measuring your life against anyone else? Close your eyes for a moment. See yourself standing alone on your path. Not isolated, but independent. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel the steadiness of your own presence. There is no race here, no standard to meet. Just movement, growth, unfolding in its own time. In this space, something becomes clear. You are not behind. You are simply on a different path. So, the next time comparison arises, do not follow it. Let it pass, like a cloud that does not belong to you. Return to your own steps. Return to your own breath, because your life was never meant to be a copy of another's. And remember this, the moment you stop comparing, solitude no longer feels like lack. It begins to feel like freedom to walk your own path. 9. Design your solitude intentionally. Why does loneliness feel heavy, especially when you have nothing planned, nowhere to be, no one expecting you? Notice what happens in unstructured time. The mind begins to wander, then spiral. Thoughts repeat, emotions amplify, and suddenly your own presence feels overwhelming. Not because solitude is painful, but because it has no direction. Purpose transforms emptiness into meaning. So pause and ask yourself, am I experiencing solitude, or am I being consumed by it? An empty room can feel cold, lifeless, almost suffocating. But the room itself is not the problem. It is the absence of intention within it. The same is true for your time alone. When you do not shape it, the mind fills it with noise, regret, comparison, restlessness. But when you bring even a small sense of purpose into that space, everything changes. So what if your solitude was not something to endure, but something to design? Imagine your day as a blank canvas, no expectations, no pressure to impress, no one watching, just space waiting. What would you create? Would you choose stillness or movement, reflection or learning? Most people never ask this. They let their time drift and then wonder why it feels empty. But solitude becomes meaningful the moment you become intentional with it. So how can you make your alone time nourishing rather than draining? A quiet truth emerges here. Discipline is not restriction, it is direction. When you give your solitude structure, you give your mind something steady to rest on. It could be as simple as reading a few pages with full attention, sitting in silence and observing your breath, writing your thoughts without judgment, walking slowly, aware of each step. These are not big actions, but they create depth. They turn passing time into lived experience. What activities truly nourish your inner world? There is a turning point most people miss. They wait to feel better before they act. But in solitude, action creates feeling. The moment you engage with intention, the heaviness begins to lift. Your mind settles, your energy aligns. And slowly, being alone no longer feels like being stuck. It begins to feel like being in control of your own life. So the next time you find yourself alone, do not leave your time empty. Shape it, design it, fill it with small, meaningful actions that bring you back to yourself. Because solitude is not meant to be wasted, it is meant to be built upon. And remember this, when you give purpose to your time, you stop feeling alone and start feeling alive within your own presence. 10. Lean into the beauty of simplicity. Why do you overlook the peace hidden in small moments, especially when you are alone? Notice how the mind searches for something bigger, more excitement, more intensity, more stimulation. It tells you that happiness must be loud to be real. And so, when life becomes quiet, you assume something is missing. But pause. What if nothing is missing at all? What if you are simply not noticing? Happiness whispers. It does not shout. So ask yourself gently, when was the last time I truly experienced a simple moment without trying to change it? There is a subtle restlessness in always seeking more. More noise, more distraction, more feeling. But in that constant chase, you lose sensitivity to what is already here. The warmth of a cup in your hands, the softness of a passing breeze, the stillness of a quiet evening. These moments are not empty, they are complete. Yet the mind overlooks them because they do not demand attention, they invite it. Why do you overlook this quiet happiness as if it is not enough? A candle does not need to burn brightly to give light. Even its soft glow can illuminate an entire room in darkness. In the same way, peace is not something dramatic. It is gentle, steady, always present, but easily ignored. And when you are alone, this gentle presence becomes even more available, but only if you are willing to slow down enough to feel it. So what if peace is already here, waiting, unnoticed? Sit for a moment with something simple. A cup of tea, the sound of the wind, the rhythm of your own breath. Do nothing else. Do not reach for your phone. Do not try to improve the moment. Just be with it. At first, your mind may resist. It may call it boring, meaningless, but stay. Because beneath that resistance, something quiet begins to open. A sense of ease. A subtle contentment. A feeling that nothing needs to be added. This is the beauty of simplicity. It does not overwhelm you. It does not demand anything from you. It simply exists and invites you to meet it fully. And when you do, something changes. Being alone no longer feels empty. It begins to feel rich, full of small, unnoticed treasures. Your attention grows deeper, your experience becomes softer, and life, even in its simplest form, starts to feel enough. So, the next time you are alone, do not look for something bigger. Look closer instead, because what you are searching for is not hidden in intensity. It is resting quietly in the ordinary. And remember this, the one who learns to value the smallest moments will never feel alone, because peace is always within reach. 11. Become emotionally self-sufficient. What happens when you no longer rely on others to feel okay? Sit with this question slowly. Most people have never experienced this state. Their mood goes up and down with someone else's attention. Their peace depends on someone else's presence, and when that presence fades, they feel lost. Not because they are weak, but because they have never learned to stand on their own. When you need nothing, everything becomes a gift. So ask yourself honestly, what emotional needs am I placing on others? There is a quiet dependence hidden in daily interactions, the need to be understood, the need to be comforted, the need to feel valued through someone else's response. And when these are not met, something inside you shakes. But look closely. Are these needs really external, or are they signs pointing inward? What you seek from others is often what you have not yet learned to give yourself. So pause and reflect. Can I give myself the same understanding I expect from someone else? A mountain does not ask the sky to stay clear. It does not fight the storm or hold on to the sunlight. It stands, steady, grounded, unmoved by what passes over it. This is emotional self-sufficiency, not the absence of feeling, but stability within it. You still feel joy, sadness, connection, but you are not controlled by them. You are not defined by them. So what would true independence feel like if your inner state no longer depended on outer conditions? Close your eyes for a moment. Feel yourself as that mountain, rooted, still. Let thoughts come like clouds. Let emotions move like wind, but remain where you are, steady, aware. Notice how this changes your experience. The need to reach outward softens. The urgency fades. And in its place, a quiet strength starts to rise. Not loud, not forceful, but steady. This is the turning point. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, you stop asking the world to complete you. You stop seeking reassurance. Stop fearing absence. Stop depending on results. And something deep happens. Connection becomes lighter. Relationships become freer. Because now, you are not holding on out of need. You are simply sharing from a place of fullness. So the next time you feel the urge to seek comfort outside, pause, turn inward, sit with yourself. Give yourself the steadiness you are looking for, because the strength you are searching for has always been within reach. And remember this, when you become your own source of stability, nothing outside you can truly disturb your peace. Bonus. Solitude is the final transformation. Why do most people never learn to enjoy being alone, even after trying many times? Look closely at the pattern. They sit in silence for a while, feel discomfort, and then leave. They escape before anything can change. Not because solitude has nothing to offer, but because they do not stay long enough to receive it. First comes emptiness, then clarity, then peace. But most people turn back during emptiness, thinking it is failure. So ask yourself honestly, have I been leaving solitude too early? There is a phase in being alone that feels empty, almost unsettling. No distraction feels satisfying, no thought feels stable. It feels as if everything familiar has faded and nothing has replaced it yet. This is the moment most people fear. But this is not the end. It is the beginning, like a dark night that seems endless, yet quietly prepares the coming of dawn. So what lies beyond this discomfort that you have never allowed yourself to see? A quiet teaching says, do not run from the empty space. It is clearing the noise for something deeper, and this is the hidden transformation. The mind is letting go of its dependence, its patterns, its constant need for stimulation. But during this process, it feels lost. And because it feels lost, you think something is wrong. But nothing is wrong. Something is changing. The question is, are you willing to stay? Imagine sitting through the night, watching the sky. At first, it is dark, silent, almost heavy. Time feels slow. You may feel restless, unsure. But if you stay, something gentle begins to shift. A faint light appears on the horizon. Slowly, the darkness softens. Shapes become visible. The world starts to reveal itself again, calm, clear, untouched. This is what happens within you when you do not leave too soon. The emptiness you feared starts to turn into clarity. Thoughts settle, emotions become steady, and from that stillness, peace appears, not forced, not created, but discovered. A quiet, steady peace that does not depend on anyone or anything. And in that moment, you realize being alone was never the problem. Leaving yourself too soon was. So the next time solitude feels uncomfortable, do not escape right away. Stay a little longer. Sit a little deeper. Breathe through the restlessness. Because what you are feeling is not emptiness. It is the doorway to change. And remember this, those who have the courage to stay through the darkness are the ones who finally see their own inner sunrise. Quick summary. Face. Inner noise. Silence feels uncomfortable because it shows your unprocessed thoughts. Avoidance increases inner chaos, while awareness reduces it. Peace begins when you stop running from your own mind. What you face with awareness loses its power over you. Return to yourself. Loneliness is not about missing people, but missing yourself. External connection cannot replace inner alignment. The more you depend on others, the more empty you feel. Wholeness begins the moment you reconnect within. Reclaim inner stillness. Constant distraction weakens your ability to stay present. A restless mind cannot feel peace or clarity. Stillness is not boredom. It is strength in its purest form. When you master stillness, you master yourself. End emotional dependence. Chasing others creates attachment, not fulfillment. Neediness pushes away what inner stability attracts. The more you seek validation, the less stable you become. True connection begins when you stop needing it to feel complete. Detach from thoughts. You suffer not from thoughts, but from believing them. Observation creates space between you and your emotions. You are not your mind, you are the awareness behind it. Freedom begins when you stop reacting to every thought. Reframe solitude. Being alone is not isolation. It is independence. Solitude gives you space to discover your true self. Freedom grows when you stop fearing your own company. What feels empty becomes powerful when understood properly. Heal inner dialogue. Your inner voice shapes your emotional experience. Negative self-talk turns solitude into suffering. Self-compassion turns loneliness into peace. How you speak to yourself shapes how you experience life. Release comparison. Comparison creates unnecessary dissatisfaction. Your path loses meaning when compared with others. Peace comes from accepting your own journey. Freedom begins when comparison ends. Build meaning alone. Unstructured solitude leads to overthinking and restlessness. Purpose gives direction to your alone time. Intentional actions turn emptiness into fulfillment. Your life expands when you consciously use your time. Enjoy simplicity. Happiness is found in quiet, simple moments. The mind misses peace while chasing intensity. Stillness holds a deeper, lasting satisfaction. You feel joy when you slow down enough to notice it. Become self-sufficient. Emotional independence creates strong stability. Relying on others for happiness leads to weakness. When you need less, you feel more freedom. Inner strength makes outer situations less controlling. Embrace the transformation. Solitude begins as discomfort, but turns into clarity. Most people quit before reaching inner peace. Growth needs staying present through discomfort. Those who stay discover a deeper, lasting calm. Being alone is not something you were meant to fear. It is something you were meant to understand. What feels like discomfort is simply the mind resisting stillness, resisting truth, resisting the unfamiliar presence of your own being. But the moment you stop running, the moment you allow yourself to sit in that silence without distraction, something deep begins to unfold. You stop feeling empty and you start feeling whole. Zen philosophy reminds us when you realize nothing is missing, the whole world belongs to you. This is the shift from seeking to being, from needing to knowing, from loneliness to inner peace. The world may come and go, people may enter and leave, but the one presence that stays is you. And when you learn to enjoy that presence, life no longer feels like something to chase. It becomes something to experience fully and freely. If this connected with you, take a moment to like and share this video and share your thoughts in the comments. What part of being alone challenges you the most? Buddhist insights on living a peaceful, grounded, and truly free life.